Our research is dealing with three problems, all of which have a direct impact on all of us, on our lives, opportunities and incomes. The first of those is financial secrecy and the abuse that it facilitates by powerful elites, by politicians, by big multinational companies to rig the international rules to their favor, to their interests, to the detriment of all of us. We are researching to what extent financial secrecy rules enable that kind of abuse, to what extent jurisdictions are complicit in that kind of abuse, and we also want to create better maps of pairs of countries where specific vulnerabilities exist through particular jurisdictions. For instance, the major problematic tax haven for Germany might be Liechtenstein or Switzerland rather than perhaps Cayman, but that story might be entirely different for, say, France or for Italy. They might have very specific vulnerabilities to other secrecy jurisdictions that we want to explore in a bilateral financial secrecy index. The second set of problems that we are researching about is the lack or absence or weakness of rules across European nations to counter the abuse of very powerful economic actors such as multinational companies or wealthy individuals to shift their incomes towards places where they remain untaxed and out of reach of scrutiny of the law enforcement and public authorities. So we want to take a stock of the inventory of measures that have been taken so far across Europe to counter tax abuse and see where the gaps exist and whether these gaps might be deliberate or coincidental, and propose a more harmonized, a more complete set of rules to counter that kind of abusive tax behavior that is at a detriment, again, of all of us. The third set of problems that we are researching about is what happens when the right rules are in place, but then the administrations are not resourced properly to enforce those rules. We have seen in the past decades a trend towards cutting the funding of public services, of tax administrations, of law enforcement, to counter the abuses facilitated through financial secrecy, such as tax evasion, tax avoidance. And we want to find out more about how well different tax administrations in Europe are resourced to actually tackle these problems. Often we see political interference, even when tax administrations and individual tax inspectors above all are very motivated to tackle the abuses but are held back through their political masters from pursuing delicate interests and powerful vested interests that might be engaged in these abusive behaviors. So we want to find out what is the exact practice of tax audits, for instance, across Europe. Data that so far is absent, we want to collect through a survey and therefore analyze the data and contribute to a better understanding how we can improve on tax collections, on fairness, on equality of treatment across the European Union with the aim of improving the equality of wealth and containing the increase of inequalities in wealth across Europe. Again, that is to the benefit to all of us.